Hey, Michelle, how's everything today?
Hey, Lindsay, good. How are you?
Awesome. I'm feeling fantastic. What are we getting into today? What are we
Well,
talking about? Mhm.
well, Lindsay, don't you forget we have a lunch meeting tomorrow.
Okay. I won't, Michelle. I'll be sure not to forget.
Good.
So, what did you say there to me?
Yeah, well, I said, don't you forget.
Yeah,
Hmm.
don't you forget. That's a little bit different. Maybe something our listeners
Yeah,
haven't heard before. Yeah.
maybe. So, guys, we have a listener question. This is a really fun and interesting one. I'm excited. So, Lindsay, could you read it for us, please?
Yes, this is from Valeria Rocha, right? And she
Hmm.
says, "What's the difference between saying don't cry and don't you cry? Love the program. Thanks a lot." Well, thank you, Valeria. We appreciate the
Thank
Valkyria,
you.
Valkyra. I can't quite read the first name, but anyways, thank you to our
Well,
amazing
thank
listener.
you. Yes, for sure. Yeah, I really love this specific and thought-provoking question. It was very specific and it also made me think. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Just to throw in a fun other All Ears English episode, because it talks a little bit about emotions, heartstrings, and hot chocolate. That was episode 1724. Go on over and listen to that one.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Guys, go back. We have so many amazing episodes in the past. You don't want to miss them. And make sure you're following All Ears English, by the way. Hit follow right now so you don't miss any new ones, right? We just drop right into your queue if you are
Right
following
into
the
it.
show. So easy. So easy, Michelle.
That's right. That's right. So let's talk about it. So don't cry. So if I say don't cry, that's kind of a command or maybe an encouragement to comfort someone, right? Like I might say that to my baby, like, "Oh, don't cry."
Exactly. Don't cry. Perfect.
Yeah.
What else, Michelle? What else?
Well, so some examples. Oh, don't cry. It's only a game.
Right. Don't cry. It's only a game. Or don't cry. It'll be okay. I promise. Right?
Right. Or
Mhm.
don't cry. You'll make me cry.
Yeah, that happens, especially in movies. I guess you're probably a movie crier, Michelle. I would imagine, yeah?
Yes. Well, we've
Yes.
talked about what was it? Call of the Wild.
Oh god, yes. Or was it Call of the Wild? No, not Call of the Wild.
Wait,
It
no,
was,
not no, not Call of the Wild.
Into the
Into
Wild.
the Wild. In the Call of the Wild is
Yes.
different. Yeah, I mean, I literally cried for 20 minutes
Me
afterwards. It
too.
was
Yeah.
sobbing.
It was some kind of a very I think it was also the, Eddie Vedder music that they put in at
Yeah.
the end that just really like, oh, sometimes music combined with feeling it just hits you so hard, right?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Yeah. So anyway, we sometimes we talk about that, Lindsay, how we both cried at that.
yeah,
So yeah, not like a little tear in my eye, like a
no,
full-on
me too.
weeping for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Anyway, so it's a good time. But let's talk about the other way of saying it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the exact same examples, but we're going to do you,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And we're going to talk about how these might sound different. So let's do the first one, Lindsay.
Yeah, so we could say, here we go. "Don't you cry, it's only a game." So what I added there was the "you," right? Instead of saying, "Don't cry, it's only a game," I said, "Don't you cry, it's only a game." Should we give the
So
other examples and then we'll talk about it, or do we wanna
sure,
talk
yeah,
about it
let's
fir
do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess we'll give the other ones first, and
Yeah.
then we'll go back. Or don't you cry, it'll be okay, I promise.
Ah. Or "Don't you cry, you'll make me cry." So we have
Mhm.
intonation things happening, but really what we're doing is we're inserting the "you." How is it different?
Mhm. Mhm.
Just what do our listeners
Yeah.
need to know here?
I think it sounds more emphatic. I think it almost sounds more like a warning, whether it's like a serious warning or a or just, in the "don't you cry, you'll make me cry." Like I'm warning you that you're gonna make me cry.
Yeah, it might be to me, it feels maybe a little more personal as
Yeah.
you're a little closer to this is very subtle, guys. We get into the nuances of
Yeah,
English,
this is very subtle.
they "Don't cry," or "Don't you cry," right? It feels like maybe you know that person a little better, you're closer to them, maybe a family member, that kinda thing, in my mind.
Right. Yeah. I think it
Mm,
just seems a little bit stronger.
okay.
Maybe even more like you care like you care a little more. Like don't you cry. But I mean
Yeah.
in the first example of like don't you cry, it's only a game. I think that's more just like I don't know quite what the difference is between don't cry. It's only a game. I think don't you cry has a little bit more of an attitude to it.
Don't you do this, right? It can be delivered with an attitude for sure, right? So maybe we'll get
Mhm.
into in just a minute, we'll get into some more examples, yeah?
Yes. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly.
All right, let's get into those examples, Michelle. Let's do it right away.
All right. Okay. So,
So,
can we do this, with other things? We're not just talking about crying here. Let's talk about other verbs we can do. Don't you X, right? So, what's the first
yeah.
one, Lindsay?
All right, here we go. Don't you work too hard now. Right. So this I think of like a grandfather pointing his finger at his
Yeah.
grandson or something. Don't you work too hard now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a little different. Little
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Or this one, "Don't you leave without saying goodbye."
Right.
So actually today, our neighbors of the past 6 years, they moved in when we moved
Oh.
in. They are moving.
Mm.
So just this morning we were taking pictures and which was not
Oh.
easy because I had a sick baby, but like we were taking pictures and they brought over their little boy is the same age as mine
Oh,
and he
fun.
he made a card for him and so then mine made a card for him and then there's
Oh.
another little girl in the hall and so like it's been a really good situation with the two other families and so one of them is leaving and so yeah so I might say to her don't you leave
Oh.
without saying goodbye rather than oh don't leave without saying goodbye. It just sounds a little bit more I don't know a little bit more like I care like I'm like don't you do that to me.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Yeah, it is a little bit more like you care. You're adding a little extra feeling. There's more connection. You know them a little better than just an
Right,
everyday person, someone
right,
random. Yeah.
right.
Or what about the next one?
The next one is, "Don't you start questioning me." So, this one is more of a warning, like but I think that I think that the overall message is it's adding an extra layer of caring. So,
Mhm.
maybe you're, like, fighting with your, partner and you're saying, "Oh, don't you start questioning me." Right? It's
Yeah.
like, you know them a little better, just like what you said, Lindsay. I agree with that.
Yeah, you know them a little better and there's an intimacy there so you can say that.
Right.
Um, if it were like a coworker and maybe you didn't know them well or they're at a different level in your company, it wouldn't be normal to say that. You would just say,
Mhm.
"Yo, please don't question me," or something.
Right, 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 exactly.
Yeah, a different episode for a different day. But here's
Eh,
another one,
right.
right? Don't you doubt yourself, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Again, I could see that like a parent saying that to their teenage kid, for example,
Right,
right? Mhm.
right, right, and, because okay, I'm imagining, let's say I don't know why, this just made me think of a graduation speech. So,
Yeah.
maybe, somebody in the speech would say, "Don't doubt yourself," but saying, like, "Don't you doubt yourself," would sound a little bit more personal if they were,
Yeah.
like, trying to connect a little bit more, and don't you doubt yourself would definitely be, good if you know someone, like, more
S
in a
Okay, so
close
you're
way.
saying that probably in the speech, they wouldn't say that, "Don't you doubt yourself." They're saying, "Don't doubt yourself," more
Yeah.
broadly because the speaker doesn't necessarily know everyone.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. I mean, I could hear someone if using it as a technique to
Yeah.
connect even more, like, "Don't you doubt yourself."
Yeah, totally. It just
Right?
slightly changes the tone and the meaning not the meaning, the intimacy of what you're saying. That's what
Yes.
it does. That's
Yes.
the key.
This
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
it's so interesting. That's why I love these questions where then we really
Oh my
and then I
gosh,
love
so
how
subtle.
sometimes, I come with something and then we kinda work it through together and we're like,
Yes.
"Actually, it's this." So
Yeah, this is the process that our listeners love to hear this process. It's so good. Well, let's give our listeners a role play here.
yes.
And Michelle, we're friends and we're reminiscing about school. So we're friends here. So that's a key point, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, exactly. Here we go.
All right. Mr. Peters was the best teacher.
Oh, I miss him. That was the best class. Ugh.
Don't you cry on me.
I'm sorry. I just miss being a kid. Don't you laugh at me, Lindsay.
Oh, sorry, sorry.
Don't worry about it.
So we're friends and also it sounds like we grew up together. Or we went to
Yeah.
school together. So there definitely is a close connection whether it's just former childhood friends, we know each other, right?
Mhm.
But maybe like a newer friend that you just met, you wouldn't necessarily be saying this don't you. do this.
Right.
It's just not to
Right.
that point yet, you know?
Right, right, exactly. So here we go. So I said that was the best class, and you like I'm getting emotional, and you said, "Don't you cry on me," like in a teasing way.
Yeah, it's almost like you're saying instead of you could also say, "Oh, don't cry," but that's a little more objective, and here you're showing how that would affect you, right? That
Mhm,
would make
mhm.
you cry.
True, true,
Mhm.
true. Exactly. And then what did I say?
And then you said, "I'm sorry, I just miss being a kid. Don't you laugh at me," right? So,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a banter going on too,
Yes.
is what this kinda creates, this "don't
Yeah.
you," wouldn't you say? Like
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. We're kind of just like going back and forth, teasing a little bit,
Yeah.
because we know each other so well.
Mhm. Yeah, and then I said, "Sorry,
Mhm.
sorry," and
Yeah,
you
and
said
then I said, "Don't worry about it,"
yeah.
instead of "Don't you worry
That
about
would
it,"
be a
because
little
this
over
is
the top if
yeah,
you
that would
said
be a little too much. "Don't you worry about it." Yeah.
it would be a little too
Mhm.
cute, right? Like, too
Yeah,
much, too
right,
much.
right.
So don't worry about it. That's how you finished it. I like that. I like that. Well, this is a super subtle nuance of English,
Yes.
but I think our listeners are ready for it. You know, as long as you guys understand what this does with connection, what it means, it's used and when you know someone better, maybe you have a shared history, like our role play,
Mhm.
or it's like between partners or family members, very close friends that grew up together, intimate kind of connections is when I would suggest using this.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Said very well, Lindsay. So, thanks so much, and thank you to the listener for this question. It was an awesome one.
All right, guys, hit follow on All Ears English if you love our style of connection, not perfection. Good stuff.
Right.
Okay, Michelle, take care. Bye.
Bye.